Hey y'all, it's Sarah and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm happy to be filming another video today. It's been a while since I've filmed, probably a couple weeks, and this is going to be my first video for vlogmas or bookmas. So for my version of vlogmas, I am not going to be vlogging or making videos every single day, but for me, my goal this year is to film twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, and have those uploaded for you guys throughout the month of December. So if that sounds good to you, feel free to click the subscribe button down below. Leave me a comment of videos you would like to see. I'm going to try and pre-film a good bit this week, so I would love to hear your suggestions. If you are new here, welcome. It's great to have you. I am new to this channel. I've started about a month ago and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So for my first year of Bookmas, my goal is 2 videos a week. So if that sounds good to you, just stick around. Alright y'all, so like I said, I'm really excited to be filming again. I did a really dramatic cut crease eye look today with my makeup because I was really excited to actually have something to dress up for, if you will. So yeah, I'm really excited to be filming. The first thing that I'm going to do for Bookmas is I'm going to do a review of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. The lighting in this video is like a million times better than last time. I'm so sorry. My last video, I uploaded it because I still want to have something to put out for you guys, but it was not the quality that I was hoping. Hopefully, the actual information in the video was still really good for you guys. It's going to be my rest of the year TBR, end of the year TBR, and I got some really good books on there that I'm going to buddy read with a bunch of people. So hopefully you guys are still interested in that video. I will link it down below. But yes, the lighting in this one is a lot better, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so like I said, we are doing a review of A Court of Silver Flames today. That is this chunky book right here. Definitely a favorite. Spoiler alert, it's going to be up at the top my favorite books of 2021. But this is the book I'm going to be reviewing today. Again, this is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. It is a new adult/adult fantasy series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Most people that are probably clicking on this review have heard of this series or this book or have read it before, or are very tempted to read it. So hopefully this review gives you some really good information, and I'm excited to see what you guys think in the comments down below. So first things first, I want to say thank you to my friend Bree, Breezy's Book Reviews over on Instagram. She sent me this book and she thought that I would really like it, even though I hadn't really gotten into the series yet. She just really thought it would be one for me, and so she sent me a hardback copy, which is really, really sweet. So definitely go follow her on Instagram. She's just a wonderful human. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you to her first for sending this. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you to her first for sending this book my way. So first things first, I do want to give a few trigger warnings. I do want to give just an idea of what I'm going to be talking about in this review. I would consider my review to be spoiler free. However, no review is truly spoiler free. If you say anything about the book, you're spoiling something, right? If you do not mind mild spoilers in terms of how a character behaves, their personality traits, things like that, I think you will be fine for this review. I also will discuss a little bit about how other characters in the book treat our main character, and sort of how she navigates that. I'm not necessarily going to give spoilers in terms of what the ending is or really major parts of the story, but I do want to give you enough information about the themes that you can at least get an idea of what it's about. So if you do not like spoilers at all, this video is not for you. I understand. But I don't think they're major spoilers, but just in case, I wanted to let you know that in advance. Last thing I'll say before I start is that if you have only read A Court of Thorns and Roses, you haven't read A Court of Mist and Fury, this review will be spoilery for you, because A Court of Mist and Fury is like a whole new world, okay? If you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. It's so different. So if you've only read A Court of Thorns and Roses, you will have a specific lens for how this series is, and this review will spoil that. If you have read A Court of Mist and Fury, even up through to A Court of Frost and Starlight, I think this review will be fine for you. It won't necessarily spoil things like relationships and stuff like that. So yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry for the abnormally long intro. So A Court of Silver Flames is a 2021 new adult fantasy release, and it is the 5th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. It comes after the first 3 books in the original trilogy, as well as a holiday novella entitled A Court of Frost and Starlight. It follows right after the events of that book. I do want to say that this book has a very high esteem level. If you have read A Court of Mist and Fury, you're there already. I would say this one takes it a higher notch even. But if you're okay with steam, you will be fine with this book. If you are not okay with that, I would not suggest the series from Sarah J. Maas. I would suggest her Throne of Glass series instead. A few trigger warnings that I do want to include would be assault, abuse, mention of sexual assault, mention of trauma, PTSD, depression, death of a loved one, and a lot of self-destructive behavior. This is our first book in the series with a new main character, that being Nesta. Nesta was a supporting character before. She is Feyre's sister. Feyre was our main character in the original trilogy. This book is our first look at what the post-war world looks like for our characters beyond what we saw in the really short novella. The first thing that I want to mention, and this is going to go throughout, is that Nesta, our main character, is real. A lot of people don't like her, but to me, she is real, okay? So I love seeing real people in books. I don't like to see necessarily fantasized versions of how people should be. I like to see characters that act the way that I might, or the way that someone I know might, or someone realistically would. And so that's the first reason that I love Nesta. What we learned from seeing Nesta's character development in this book is that she is grieving. She has suffered immense trauma, and people don't all grieve the same way. There's no right way to do it. There's no right way to process trauma. Sure, there's tools that we can have in our toolkit. There's things that we could probably do that would be more helpful. But not everyone has the same timeline, and not everyone has the same processes. So I can see that through Nesta, and I really appreciate that writing from Sarah J. Maas. As we enter this story, we find Nesta as a very reclusive character. She's stubborn, she's angry, she doesn't want any help from anyone, and she's just not interested. You know, everyone's trying to help her, and she doesn't care. She doesn't think that they understand what she needs. She becomes easily agitated when she's pushed to do certain things, and I see myself reflected in that behavior. When people suffer trauma, when they suffer loss, and they have to deal with grief, they want to do it in the way that feels best for them. And sometimes that is hard for other people to understand. Based on my personal experience, I think that Sarah J. Maas portrays depression and PTSD in the most realistic way that I have ever seen in a book. And that's what I want to focus this review on. You know, if you've read this series so far, you can say, you know, I like Sarah J. Maas's writing, or I think she has cool characters, I think the magic is cool, the plot, all that sort of stuff. I want to get more into the characters. And for me, as someone who's typically a plot-driven reader, that's weird for me to say, but I really do want to get into the character development here, because I think that's what makes this book the top book of 2021 for me. It's not necessarily just the plot. It's not a bunch of high action. While I do like those parts in the book, I think they're really cool, that's not what stands out for me. I love that Sarah J. Maas wrote a character that is so polarizing. You know, as we read the first 3 or 4 books, what I would see mostly about Nesta from other reviewers was, I hate Nesta. She's unlikable. I don't like her. And that's the point. You know, sometimes authors write unlikable characters because they're supposed to be that way. Not everyone in the world is happy all the time. Not everyone in the world makes the best decisions, and not everyone in the world acts the way that we would. So I love to see a character that is really polarizing. Some people love her, some people don't. I would say at the beginning of the series, I was a little frustrated with Nesta. I thought she was stubborn. I thought she was annoying. I was frustrated with what seemingly was an attitude. But as I read this book, I'm like, girl, that's you. That's how you were a few years ago. That's how you still are to some people now. You know, that's a real person. And we can't just romanticize the way that people are, the way that they should be. I've seen myself, and it makes me feel validated, you know, in how I've been in the past. Not to say that Nesta or I haven't, you know, made some bad decisions or haven't treated people kindly because we were in pain. But it shows that that's what some people do. So yeah, Nesta can be mean. Nesta can be abrasive. And that's what a lot of people are commenting. They say, Nesta's not very nice. She's really rude. And yeah, yeah, she is. She can be. And that's just the way the character is. There really wouldn't be much plot if we had a main character who went through all this trauma and was struggling and everyone said, why don't you just worry less? Why don't you just feel happier? Why don't you just trust people? And the main character said, okay, I'll do that. You know, like that's not how it works. That's not how a lot of people are. Sure, some people might be quick to trust or quick to heal. But Nesta's struggle is a lot more than that. That's why this book is so long. You know, a lot of people say the book is too long, and I can accept that criticism on the book, but I think the book is long because the journey is long. Something that I wanted to note is the difference between how we treat male and female characters. So a lot of male characters nowadays we see as morally gray, we even see them as villains, and we love them. We romanticize them, we put them on a pedestal, we see red flags and we say, oh, that's cool, you know, that's just my type, or that's how I like book characters. But it's sort of sad to say that and then see a character like Nesta who might be morally gray or make bad decisions and say, I hate her, she's rude. Right? So I thought it was interesting to see the dichotomy of how we treat male and female characters and the terms that we assign to them based on their behavior. A lot of people like to attribute negative words to women who don't behave in the way that they would like them to. They call them angry, they call them bossy. They use specific negative terms about women that I won't say on this channel, but y'all know what I'm saying. When a man behaves in a certain way, typically in a book, if that is seen as strong and it is seen as empowering and it is seen as masculine. But if a woman behaves the same way, it's seen as bossy and aggressive and rude. This is not to say that Nesta isn't that way at times, but I feel like that we often assign those terms frequently to women, way more than we would to men. One of my favorite songs from way back is called Stand Still, Look Pretty. And it's the first thing I thought about when I read this book and when I read this character was we get mad. I mean, anyone gets mad societally at women who are emotional, who respond in ways that aren't pretty. You know, often the world wants us to stand still, look pretty. They don't want us to emote. They don't want us to argue or criticize or express an opinion. They don't want us to feel. They don't want us to show those feelings and express them to the world. And people really get uncomfortable when women do that. You know, a male character in a book can lash out to other people and still be seen as a leader. They're seen as someone who's strong and is getting things done. But when a woman lashes out, maybe she's feeling emotional. Maybe she's feeling like no one is listening to her. No one understands how she feels. She's seen as emotional and aggressive. She's seen as unprofessional. Throughout reading this book, what I've noticed is that I see myself in Nesta, and I love that. I don't feel ashamed for recognizing some qualities in myself and in my past self that are very similar to her. I feel that I don't often relate to the stereotypical YA or new adult female fantasy protagonist, and it's nice to see one in a book who is a little edgy. They're a little different. They're not just magically the most beautiful person on the planet and everyone loves them and they have every skill even though they have no training, and they're seemingly perfect. And so I like to see a character who's got a little spunk, who's got some flaws, if you will, you know, and she's real. Nesta to me was different and fresh, and I applaud Sarah J. Maas for including her as a main character, you know, allowing her to have her own story, to step up and be that main character, and really transition the story from where it was in the original trilogy to where it's heading now. For me, it was really realistic to see how the inner circle treated Nesta and how she responded to them. Mental health is really messy, You know, dealing with these problems is not linear always. You know, it goes with any chronic illness or invisible illness. Just because you have a good day doesn't mean you're better. It doesn't mean you're fixed, right? And so mental health is messy, and a lot of times people don't know how to deal with it. Even if they've dealt with mental health struggles on their own, they don't necessarily understand how yours work. And so that's what we see here with Nesta. We see an inner circle who's trying to help. They think that they're helping, but they're really just pushing her in a direction that she's not interested in. She doesn't trust them yet. She doesn't trust that process. And so, you know, some people have said that they don't agree with the way that Sarah J. Maas portrayed the inner circle in this book. They think it's a character assassination, if you will. But to me, I don't think it is at all. I think it's characters who are real, who have flaws, and who don't understand how to fix someone with mental health problems. That's real to me. People don't know how to react when people go through trauma, and sometimes they get it wrong. And I think that's what our main characters from our original trilogy are dealing with. So in this book, the romance is definitely there. I am not typically a romance lover. I'm a Cassian lover, but I'm not typically a romance reader. The steam level is high, the romance is there. You will read some things that make you blush. They might even make you sweat. So this book definitely has high romance levels, but that's not the plot. You know, that's not what we're necessarily trying to get across here, at least in my opinion. That's not Sarah J. Maas's main point in this book. I also know a lot of people are here with this series for the romance, and that's fine. And I think you'll be happy with what you read in this book. But another central theme of this book is friendship, and I love to see that in books, especially female friendships. You know, we don't see that often. We don't see women even talking to women in a lot of books. There's a test, I forget what it's called, but you can apply it to books, and obviously it doesn't work in every scenario. But you see if women actually even talk to each other in a book. Or in a movie, and it doesn't happen very often, not in a friendship way. So I love to see that in this book. So if you are interested in friendship themes, definitely continue on with this series. I think you're really gonna appreciate what you see. One of the themes and quotes throughout this book is keep reaching out your hand, and that is something that has never left me since I read this book. Just the idea of keep reaching out your hand. There is always someone out there who is willing to help, as long as that's what you want. Just keep putting yourself forward, keep taking that next step, and you will make progress on your journey, whatever that is for you. Both Nesta's relationship with Cassian and her relationship with her friends showed me that forgiveness is possible and anyone can start over. We can also always create the family that we need and that we want. The last thing I want to say about this book is there is a particular scene, I won't give too many spoilers, but I will describe it a little bit. There's a particular scene in which Nesta is trying to complete a personal challenge or personal journey within the story, and she is failing. One of the scenes in this book made me sob. You know, Nesta's going along this journey. She's got a portion where she is failing, and all she wants to do is be better. She just wants to get better. She just wants to feel normal. And I've been in that spot. You know, sadly, I've been in that spot, and I know what that's like. And I've been on that journey where you just want to feel better. You just want to climb the hurdles that you have in front of you. You just want to feel normal, and you want to feel like the next day is going to happen. The next day is going to be better. There's going to be a purpose. You know, and it's been a while for me since being at that point. But I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in that exact same spot again, and I felt like I was completing that journey. And it was tough to read. It was tough to be back in that mental headspace, but it was also good to see the achievements, right? It was good to see what was accomplished and to feel like we did it. I did it. Nesta can do it. We can all achieve it. Reading a lot of this book really just made me feel seen, it made me feel validated, and it made me feel important. And I applaud Sarah J. Maas for putting this book out into the world. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review that I just gave of this book. Again, it's pretty spoiler free. I didn't want to go too much into plot, but I did want to let you know how I felt reading the book, how I felt I interacted with our main character Nesta, and hopefully it convinces you that if you are just finishing A Court of Mist and Fury or even the novella, I hope it convinces you to continue on. This is a really good series. I don't love every part of it. I don't love every part of the romance. I don't love every part of the characters and their decisions. I don't romanticize everything that happens in these books, and I still like them. I still see them for what they are. I still appreciate the, little life pieces of wisdom that are within them, and I think they're really, really fun to read. I am rereading the series upcoming soon so that I can get to this one again in 2022. I love to reread. So that's my goal for upcoming months. If you enjoyed this review, if you enjoyed this book, just let me know down below in the comments. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next video. Bye!